Hi there, and a very warm welcome to Season 5, Episode 60 of People Soup. It's Ross McIntosh here. Pea Soupers, well, I'm as surprised as you are to be popping up with this bonus episode. It's a one-off special where I have a chat with the President of the ACBS UK and Republic of Ireland Chapter President, Professor Louise McHugh, and we talk about the upcoming conference on the 16th and 17th of November this year. I'm all booked to attend, and we thought it would be good to tell you more about the conference, so you can see if it might be just the experience you're looking for. People Soup Season 6 will be back soon with a great set of guests and all your favourite features. But for now, get a brew on and have a listen to my chat with Louise McHugh. Professor Louise McHugh, welcome to People Soup.
So happy to be here with you. I love this podcast.
Thank you so much, Louise. And Louise, you'll be familiar with my research department. And they're just coming back of their summer break. And more importantly, I want to get you on the podcast in a different role, sometime probably early next year. So they've kept their contribution short this time, but they'll go into more depth the next time we speak.
Brilliant.
Because we're here for a very special reason today.
We are. We've got the UK and Republic of Ireland ACBS Chapter Conference coming up in November the 16th and 17th. It's our first time we've had the conference over a weekend. So we're hoping that kind of the variety of that will also bring diverse and different people to the group that for various reasons might during the week have to sort of miss out on income. And this one is the sixth one that we've had as a UK and Ireland chapter, so it's pretty exciting, and it's going to be in London, which the London conference that we did before was our sort of biggest and with that broad audience, and we're really excited that there's going to be lots of people from the different European chapters coming as well. So yeah, it's exciting.
Brilliant. And just for those of you who haven't met Louise yet, Louise is a professor of psychology and head of department at University College Dublin, and head of department in psychology, I should say. And we're speaking on quite a momentous day because this is your first day as the head of department.
It is. It's an exciting day for me, and it poured rain beyond any Dublin belief, so hopefully it's not pathetic fallacy.
But that also means that pouring of rain means that Louise is wearing a rather fetching UCD sweatshirt, a hoodie, should I say.
I had to go straight to the student union shop, and the only option was to buy the local merch. So I'm now looking like a brand ambassador for my department.
Yeah, bang on brand. I bet people are just thinking, God, she's so committed to this role.
I think they're thinking, dear God, it's not going to be a uniform, is it?
Aye. Keep them on their toes, that's what I say. You're the director of the UCD CVS lab, and you're the president of the ACBS UK and Republic of Ireland chapter. So, as you've said, we're here to talk about the conference, so let's dive straight in. You've mentioned the dates. Let's just recap on those. 16th and 17th of November.
Yeah, in UCL in London.
Right, so that's University College in London. It's a Saturday and a Sunday. And tell us about the theme of the conference, Louise.
So the theme we picked is expanding horizons. So it's nurturing connections and growth in contextual behavioural science. So we really wanted to sort of focus on keeping the broader disciplines than just psychology, and then thinking towards, you know, connections being sort of the piece that we always have as sort of central to what ACBS does so well. But then also thinking about connections in the sense of like networks in the way that, you know, everything's connected and everything's related. And then also wanting to look towards growth and I guess the sort of the future for the UK and Ireland chapter in that growth, while maintaining our connections and integrity to our research foundations, you know.
Wonderful. And I just want to add a personal note in there, if I may, because as you know, I moved to live in Spain coming up to 3 years ago, which is incredible that 3 years has passed. And I saw the advert last year for the Hot Topics and kind of networking event in Birmingham. And I was humming and hawing, but my real inner compulsion was, God, I am so going to this. I want to reconnect with my community. And I was so enthusiastic when I signed up. Then sometimes, you know what it's like when you say, I'm going to go to a party, and then the date gets nearer, As it got nearer, I thought, I felt a bit like, oh gosh, I've just got too much on. Nevertheless, I got on that plane to Birmingham and I had the best time ever. It felt like a warm hug from my ACBS UK and Republic of Ireland family. So many people I hadn't seen for a while, partly because of the pandemic, but it just felt like I was just like a warm embrace that I was back there. So I would hazard a guess that if someone was coming for the first time, they might also have that sense of a warm embrace from the people there.
Definitely. So every second year we have the what was the Birmingham event last year? It's like just networking, and then the conference. And now we're from the Birmingham last year networking. Now we're moving into the for the London conference, and of course it'll be many of the same people will be at those events as sort of people who come to a lot of our chapter events. And it really, that Birmingham event, it felt so warm. I mean, it just felt like I got it like a coming home. Really creative in terms of the ideas, and a lot of the stuff discussed at that has kind of been implemented in our chapter in different ways. So all the ideas from other people there was amazing. And of course, definitely then if you're new to ACBS for the UK and Ireland chapter, we're planning we'll have a little rookies retreat version or session in the first. And what I mean by that is, like, in the first hour we'll definitely get everybody who's new together with people who are not so new, and make sure that they already immediately get into the community and feel included straight away.
Great. And I know that all the details, and we'll put this in the show notes for this episode and in the social media postings, all the details are online now on the website of the whole program, how you can reserve your ticket and sign up. And I think there are some special ticket prices. Is that right?
So we have a number. We have we set up our pre-conference workshops to be fundraisers for tickets for low income and students, so that there is a lower rate for low income and students, but actually these are sort of free tickets for as many as we raise funds for. And at the moment, we've so far raised the funds to bring 12 students or low income people. So the applications are open at the moment, and it's first come, first serve for people to get those free tickets. And that kind of opened a week ago. And there was an email out over the UK and Ireland listserv. So if you know anyone on, they get them to forward you the link to that. And it's also on our website about it. So there is a way to if you're even thinking it's out of your reach financially, we've been sort of raising those funds to get people to be able to access this experience as well. And the way we did it was we did sort of in line with what was important to us is getting training out in an accessible way to as many people as possible, scalable way. And so we sort of, the way we did our pre-cons were online, and we did them sort of once a month in the build up to the conference, where we had 5 different ones. 2 are left, 3 are done, and all proceeds went to student or low income tickets, but also to attend them was only £10, which is for attendance at like a 3-hour skills workshop, a really low rate, certainly in the UK and Ireland. And so we've had amazing sign-ups to those, and they're available to everyone because the recording is available for 2 weeks afterwards. So even if it's not your time zone. So we've had an amazing uptake on that from people within our chapter and beyond. And we had one with Jim Lemon. It was the first one, and that was with pro-social and healthcare. And then we had Henry Whitfield do sort of psychedelic therapy, and Alison Stapleton looked at neurodiversity and neuroaffirmative practices. And the next one is coming up on the 25th of September, and that's on supervision with Jim Lucas and Sarah Benquitz. And then in October the 10th, we've got education with Duncan Gillard, and they're both like for £10, So do not miss them.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Those prices are superb. And the speakers, these are world-class speakers, folks. And it's all also to raise more money to enable more students or people on low incomes to get a free ticket and come along to the conference. So it speaks to who the chapter is as a collective. And so all the details for that are on the website too.
I guess I was thinking, like, in line with what you're saying, because ACBS has grown so much, since that, the first World Conference for ACBS was like in 2003 in Enschede. And I suppose now we're huge, and the local chapters, and even I suppose with climate change as well, like the local chapters and the events that they can run are becoming increasingly sort of important for community building pieces, so that you're not sort of in a conference of 900 people, but you're more in a conference of, a couple of hundred people where you can really get to know the community. So yeah, I think these chapter conferences are really a really important part of ACBS now.
Yeah, folks. And if you're a P Super and you're interested in the guests I have and the sort of science we talk about to support you in the workplace, then maybe this is the right arena for you to become a little bit more immersed in the world of ACBS and think how you can gain insights from different disciplines as well, cross disciplines, because it's great to hear people talk about different areas. And personally, I do that and I think, how can I apply this in the workplace? So yes, and if anyone has any questions, please come and ask me. If you're a work-based kind of person and you're thinking, well, will this really be useful for me? Come and have a chat, because I guarantee it will. So do please check out the website, because there's a great range, and this takes me on to my next theme, I think, of keynote speakers. Who have we got lined up for keynotes?
Yeah, we've amazing keynotes. And, one thing we do is we always play to our strengths of people in our keynotes that are based in our UK and Ireland chapter and doing amazing things. And one of the keynote speakers is somebody we all know and love if we've been to ACBS chapters before, Joe Oliver. And he's going to do a really exciting piece around Back to the Future, looking at the UK and Ireland chapter, the history, where we came from, how we've developed and where we need to go and how we can grow in really effective ways. And Joe always does things in really tied into the science way. I think it'll be exciting. It'll be really exciting to see what he says about that. And then we have Dr. Jessica Kingston from Royal Holloway, and she's got a sort of contextual science lab there, and she's a big trainer of the clinical psychology students there. And so she's going to be looking at, in particular, how we can use the processes of CBS to enhance meaning, well-being, and trust, both inside and outside of the clinical practice. And then we have Riska Solomon, and she is going to be looking at doing our relational frame theory plenary, and she's going to be looking at using contextual behavioural science everywhere all at once while applying RFT to all levels of the sort of interdisciplinary therapy services. And she works a lot with autism and sort of applying RFT across the board there as well. So that would be sort of, really kind of exciting, seeing how she's practically applying all that RFT work and making a difference. And then the last of our four speakers is now Kashita, and now is doing incredible work with acceptance and commitment therapy and carers. And she's got a real digital app, and she's got digitally delivered self-help for carers. So she'll be talking about that work she's doing over there in the UK.
That's quite a lineup. Yeah. And that itself is worth my flight to London for that weekend. But as well as that, we've got symposia. We've got individual sessions. We've got, let me just see, I've got some of them printed off, panel discussions and skills classes. So it really is a wealth of opportunity, and you can choose the ones that you really want to go to. Are there any that you'd like to highlight from the, I know it's difficult to pick out maybe 3 or 4, but any that you'd highlight from the skills and panel discussions, etc.?
Yeah, well, sort of personal faves are ones that I'm looking at myself. Ross White is going to do a workshop on ACT in sports and be more like a tree. And, I know he writes the books on that and does so much work in that I think that would be a really exciting workshop, always brilliantly delivered. And then in terms of some of the research side of stuff that I'm excited to see, Freddie Jackson Brown and his group are going to be looking at AI work and relational frame theory and presenting research on that, which, kind of blow the mind really what the possibilities are there. And then another skills class that I really like the look of is with Ricky Kelgart on creative hopelessness, which is, it's like essentially it has to kind of be the beginning of any kind of ACT intervention. It's so pivotally important it's the functional assessment, I suppose we would think in behavioral terms. So I'm really excited, and Ricky brings such high energy to these and really makes everything just not even feel like you're learning, but you're just learning everything. You know what I mean? It's so engaged and fun. And then there's going to be a session with Joseph Lavelle and Orla Moran and Alison Stapleton looking at single case experimental designs. And they're going to be specifically sort of looking at process-based therapy and this idea that I suppose in contextual behavioral science we talk about a lot, which is looking at the individual, not the group. So they're going to do a nice workshop where they're going to be able to give people sort of a toolkit and some tools if they want to sort of do more single case designs in their work, which I think will be really nice. They have a nice suite of materials, and I think it'll be really worthwhile. No matter where you're trying to do research, the single case design stuff makes it more manageable, and particularly if you've got unique populations that are hard to get, which I don't know about you, but recruitment is always the hard thing at research, right? And numbers and dropouts. So yeah. And then there's going to be a great panel on supervision as well, where Sarah Cassidy and Jim Lucas and Sarah Benquitz are going to come together and talk about this whole issue of supervision. And in another session, talk about why does ACT not do CPD and should we? Which people might be interested to hear about, or sorry, accreditation, should I say. Yeah. So they'd be my kind of ones that I was pulling out.
Yeah, that just gives you a flavour, folks. And like I said earlier, I wouldn't shy away. If you're not clinical or perhaps educational, don't shy away from going to those sessions, because I always learn so much, because the people present it in such an accessible way that it makes me think, oh yeah, the humans they're working with are the same as the humans I'm working with. Mine are just generally in the workplace, whereas for them, they're working with them in maybe a clinical setting or an educational setting. And there's some others that really leapt out at me. I'm going to say, Ricky's you've already covered. The sports looked really interesting. Something around compassion-focused therapy, which is a relative of ACT and really interesting in organisations. There's one on building brighter futures using ACT in youth populations in schools. Where else did I want to go? Using metaphor in group settings, that will be amazing, with Sandro Voy and Niklas Tornecki. And bravery and honesty, how to or not to talk about body image issues. And that's more of an issue in the workplace than you might imagine. I had a guest on quite recently, Sarah Pegram, who's done research around body issues and weight stigma. And it's absolutely fascinating when you start to think how that might apply in the workplace.
And there's 3 tracks at any time. So there's always, we kind of tried to balance it. There's like one research, but then there's always a sales class, and there's always, if a panelist happen, we tried to divide them out so that you kind of find what's relevant to you at any given time.
You and me know what it is, but I just wonder if you'd explain to the P Supers, because it says on Saturday night there's something called Follies. What the hell is Follies, Louise? How would you describe that to a Martian from another planet?
Follies is like a cabaret where it's all about the sort of conference and contextual behavioral science more generally. So it might be a song that shifts the lyrics to engage in a relevant topic that's happening or a relevant part of ACT. And I think of like at the World Conference, David Galanders did sort of change the lyrics of the Copacabana while we were in South America, and oh my God, did an absolute mic dropping performance. But you don't have to just be brilliant like that. He happens to be a good one. It's all levels of good and bad entertainment allowed, and it could be a comedy sketch. It just can be sort of a video that's been recorded with a comedy idea around it. It can be like a funny therapist-client role play, but it's basically a cabaret or a suite of different type of ways of really thinking light about ourselves and the work that we do, being able to be playful about that. And we're actually going to have a silent disco after that's the first time we've done that. We're having a silent disco after the Follies as a way to rock on for the evening in a memorable way.
Now, just for completeness' sake, maybe explain what a silent disco is as well.
I know, right? So we'll all have headsets, and the music will be playing in our ears, and we'll be dancing, but there will be no sound in the room while we're doing that.
And I've never been to a silent disco, so that's intriguing.
Me neither.
And I'm guessing, daft question, but everyone's listening to the same music.
Do you know what is so funny about this conversation? Until I started describing it to you, because I just thought this is so fun, right? It never occurred to me that we'd be listening to different music. I think we are. I think we're listening to the same music.
I think it has to be. Otherwise, if you and me are cutting shapes on the dance floor, Louise, we might not be in the same rhythm.
Yeah.
And folks, just going back to the Follies, you are quite at liberty to sit and appreciate the hilarity from a chair without any involvement from yourself getting up on stage. So don't be alarmed by that if that fills you with dread, the thought of audience participation or, come on, why don't you get on stage? That there won't be that. Please be reassured about that.
It's definitely totally on a voluntary basis of what would be enjoyable for the individuals. So I would say probably 20% of people decide that they really want to do a folly, and 80% of people probably are thrilled to enjoy the show.
Yes, and continue networking.
Definitely.
Where are people attending from? Because you've mentioned some names. You've mentioned Ricky, and I've seen that Eric Morris is on the programme too. Is Eric actually coming over?
So Eric and Jennifer Kemp are due to come over from Australia. So they are the furthest. And I actually meant to mention Jennifer Kemp's interoceptive awareness workshop, which would be insanely amazing. So they're the really furthest travellers. But we have people a number of people are going to come from the Romania chapter, which is the ACBS Romania chapter is growing at the moment. They're wonderful and they've agreed they're coming. There's going to be people from Turkey, the Turkish chapter, the Polish chapter are presenting. There's going to be people from the Italian chapter, and obviously the Swedish chapter with Nicholas and Ricky. Ricky's Denmark. And so we're really, we're getting a broad audience, which is going to be really exciting. And then, of course, we're getting people from the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, and England. So, it's going to be a really fun group. And I guess you're coming from Spain, right?
Yeah, I was merrily sitting here thinking, maybe I win the award for the furthest travelled.
Yeah, no.
And thinking hell no. And there's one more symposium I want to mention, which I'm involved with. We've got a bit of a workplace vibe going on, and we're talking about psychological flexibility across contexts, insights from ACT, interventions in the workplace and educational settings. So there's a band of legends. I'm fortunate enough to be alongside them. And we're going to be talking about ACT in the workplace. So another great reason to join us.
I want to attend that one as well. Tell me, what's going to be the fun reason to attend that one?
Because it's different from the others, and we're talking about some great research. The research that particularly sticks in my mind is Arianna Prudenzi and her groundbreaking research and her energy and tenacity as a researcher is amazing.
Did you know that Dr. Prudenzi, many moons ago, started her interest in context behavioral science at the CBS lab in UCD when she was on an Erasmus Plus exchange? And of course, because she's brilliant, she, of course, ran with it and made that internship into published work. And, that's just who she is. But yeah, it'll be amazing.
So let's try and explain what the experience will be like. What will people be seeing, hearing, feeling? I've described it as a warm hug, a friendly environment. Anything else you'd say about that environment?
Yeah, I definitely think that it's not like other conferences, in my opinion, because it isn't about this type of trying to outdo each other or outsmart each other. There isn't so much of that writing kind of reflex where you're trying to be right. It really is a supportive environment that's more about intellectual curiosity, definitely, but not making people's palms sweat with suits on and taking ourselves too seriously. I think it's more of a really caring about this and being passionate about it and wanting to support everybody to grow in this. So the community and the openness to welcome everyone in always feels, certainly from my perspective, certainly feels like something that's different and sort of calmer vibe than other conferences.
I love that, a calmer vibe, and I absolutely agree. So, Peace Supers will be used to a question like this. It's kind of a modified question, but Louise, if you could represent the conference in a song choice, what might that song be and why?
It's funny, I feel like I should make an Oasis choice since everyone my age seemed to try and get tickets this weekend for the Irish set up, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to integrate that in that quick way. A song that I always liked for ACT was, that one, Crazy, just like me.
I remember when I lost my mind.
It's a really famous artist, Gnarls Barkley. Okay, So,
Yes.
right, so maybe Gnarls Barkley is a song that I think about for the UK and Ireland chapter, and maybe act in ACBS, because, he talks about, remembering when you lost your mind. And I think it is when you sort of noticed that, God, so much of this is nonsense and not helping me, like, live the type of life I want to live. And it kind of does that whole thing, is like that realization that, like, does this make me crazy? Probably, but you too, because we all have these minds that are doing this nonsense. So I think in these conferences, this conference in the UK and Ireland, and that we are the chapter of, and World Conference as well, it's that piece that allows you to let go of your mind, and I think connect in a more human level with the group, and I suppose why the UK and Ireland then, I suppose, because it's even a smaller group, which makes it even easier, to sort of reconnect in that way and sort of diffuse. We would say diffuse, right? But I think to just get that peace of mind. It's kind of peace of mind, isn't it? Because you kind of let go of all the chatter and just connect with people in a way that's fun and about what you care about, which is, I'm interested in this work. It's not about getting stuck on comparing myself to others, which I think we often go into that space in conference mode. And it's more about, we all care about something similar. We can enjoy this.
Brilliant. Thank you to you and Gnarls Barkley for that song, for that normalisation for us all. So, Louise, I'm going to say thanks so much for joining me on People Soup, and I take it as a firm intention that you're willing to come back in next year at some point, and hopefully early next year, to talk more about that RFT, relational frame theory, and possibly the topic of boundaries, really useful in the workplace. But for now, I want to say thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you at the conference and hope to see many of our listeners there too.
Yeah, I really hope to see you all there. And thank you so much, Ross, for this chat. As I said at the beginning, I love this podcast.